All right. Hello, Hacksters. Apologies for the late start, but I'm very excited to unbox the new Arduino Uno R4, the Wi-Fi and Minima versions. I'm actually not exactly sure what they've sent me here. I got this package in the mail yesterday, and I've opened it up so I can get it out here, but there's a mysterious larger cardboard box here, as well as, yes, as well as the Uno R4 Wi-Fi board. So there's two different versions of the new Arduino Uno R4. As you might have noticed, there's the Wi-Fi and the Minima board. The Minima has the Wi-Fi has everything that the Minima has, which is basically a beefed up version, a replacement for the Arduino Uno R3. Although that one's still going to be sold. Don't worry about that. They're actually about the same price point or even less. So the R3 is being kept on mainly for people who are still doing making products that they need to ensure compatibility with the previous version, and they have no plans to discontinue that. So, but yeah, we've got the new R4 boards, and these feature a new Renaissance processor chip. So most stuff is going to still be completely compatible, all your shields and everything that you have for building out stuff on the Uno. But then there are a number of new updates. Even the Minima has a bunch of new updates, and the Wi-Fi has all of those plus more. So we're gonna dig into all of that. But let's get it out of the box. Actually, first I just gotta see what's in this one, you know? What could it be? Always cut away from yourself. Although ideally you have a firmer grip on it than this. Ah! Let's see if that does the trick. Then we beast it open. Oh, there's lots of styrofoam here. Ah, and the Minima. Very different packaging for the two of them. So I wonder if they maybe don't have the boxes yet. So these two are both available at the link in the description below. And we've also been releasing a bunch of content on our social channels. So before we get dug in here too much, be sure to check out our tech highlight playlist where we do tons of unboxings like this, our Hackster Cafe, which is usually around this time on Tuesdays, but this week we were planning on having someone who fell through, unfortunately. So it goes. And we're going to take a look at these R4 boards, which are just so gorgeous. You can also check out the previous content we've published around this board with Massimo Banzi, the co-founder of Arduino. There's more of that coming, so follow us on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, of course, our own Hackster.io/videos page, and here on YouTube. Well, you may not be watching on YouTube. You may be on LinkedIn or Facebook. But yeah, you can go check all of that out. So let's dig into these boards. I'm going to switch my camera here, and we're actually going to see for a moment one of these boards I've been working on, which is a secret. Okay, so we've got the R4 Wi-Fi, Uno Wi-Fi. I've got it pretty close up here, so I'm going to take it out of the board so we can get a close-up view. Out of the box, that is. And right on the box here, it says there's connectivity with Wi-Fi and Bluetooth LE. We've got our beautiful board itself. We've got your usual little piece of paper telling you all about, where to find information and tutorials, and it's like all your manufacturing info, testing info, and stuff like that. We're a little blown out here, but there we go. We've got stickers, our favorite Arduino Uno stickers that come with every board, and then also a little card that just tells you about the manuals and stuff. I'm going to turn on my lights a little bit. Did not expect it to be so glary. Okay, cool. So here we go. Arduino Uno Wi-Fi. We've got a reset button. One of the new cool things about this is our USB-C port here. And you will also notice that you've got an ESP32S3. You've got your usual barrel jack on here. A cool thing about this board, both of these boards, is that they have the opportunity for 6 to 24 volts in, which will be available to you through the VIN pin on here for your projects. So if you want to, for example, I had a 24 volt water ultrasonic mister that I left at the Hackster office because I never figured out the best way to incorporate it into a project you always maybe need a separate power supply for that, and it was just kind of unwieldy. But in this case, if you put 24 volts into the barrel jack, you can use that in your project and not have to have a separate power supply, which is pretty cool. Um, of course, you'll notice on the Wi-Fi, we've also got this beautiful red LED matrix, which we're going to be lighting up in here in a minute with our cable. You've got software debugging ICSP uh, connector there. You can use that with an SWD cable, with a JTAG debugger, what have you. You've still got your little labels on the headers here on the inside and the outside, which I love. It makes it so much easier to prototype when you're not trying to squint under your shields for to figure out which pin you're plugging into. All kinds of good stuff like that. Let's get the Minima out here as well. I'm gonna put that there. Get it out of the little anti-ESD bag. It's interesting to me that these are actually slightly different colors. So the Wi-Fi is a bit more of a navy color, and the Minima is a bit more teal. So as you can see, you still have that ICSP header on here. You've got some PWM pins, digital pins. You've got that USB-C. You also have a way of hooking up a real-time clock, an RTC. This also has HID compatibility, so you can use it as a human input device. That means that, like the previous Arduino Leonardo that was in a similar form factor, previously if you wanted to use your Arduino as a native sort of mouse, joystick, keyboard, stuff like that for inputting stuff into your projects, you would have to reach for a Leonardo or a Teensy or something like that, something even outside of the uh, Uno space, or use a shield. But in this case, you can, oh, here's, I pointed at the wrong thing before. This is the SWD header. But yeah, you can actually do that just with your Uno now, which is very exciting. Especially given that the R4 Minima is actually cheaper right now than the R3. So if you're looking to build a new project, they very much recommend you go with these R4s. You've also got a 12-bit DAC, so a digital to audio or to analog converter, with an op-amp, so you can use that for signal generation for audio built into the Uno. For me, that okay, you can tell from my voice that that makes me very excited. um, yeah, and of course, you've still got your built-in LED on there on pin 13 usually. TX and RX transmit and receive indicator LEDs on here. Let's see, anything else? I think that's about it for the stuff that's included on both of them. And then, of course, on the Wi-Fi, beyond your obvious LED matrix, you've got this quick connector, which enables you to connect not just to SparkFun quick modules, which are these little I2C daisy chainable breakout boards that you can get, like accelerometers. You can get little. I've seen a lot of people wondering why they didn't put an OLED display on here instead. You can get a quick module that's an OLED display if you would rather. I shouldn't say OLED display because, as the Spider-Verse movie just just reminded me, display is in the acronym there already. But anyway, if you want an OLED, you can attach that via the Quick system from SparkFun, which is also compatible with the Adafruit Stemma QT system. All these I2C modules, which are daisy chainable, become available to you through that little Quick connector, which means that not only can you use these with all your existing Arduino shields, but you can also use them with those entire ecosystems of Adafruit Stemma QT and SparkFun Quick modules, which is very exciting. So there's so much that you can do with these boards without ever having to solder anything. So another comment that I've seen around here around the internet is, why didn't they just make it as small as possible? And there are boards for that. But I will say that the point of this one is to sort of make it as easy as possible to prototype without having to solder, without having to bust out a bunch of extra modules, or design your own stuff. This is for, let's just put something together. So for example, we've got this accelerometer module that we could easily connect to this. I've got a temperature sensor here that I can just plug in. You got to check which way it goes in. Doot. And there we go. There's libraries already out there for using these together. Very cool. I've never understood why they use the more powerful ESP32 as just a radio modem. Such a waste. That's a fair point. You may want to be able to use that as an extra core. For example, I see people asking if you can use the ESP32 as a separate core and program that as a separate processor. I don't believe you can do that. It does, however, give a really beefy capability for Wi-Fi and Bluetooth Low Energy for over-the-air updating and things like that. So, I can kind of see why they would do that. A dip version should have been made for the Minima board as it's for larger voltage handling and thus more prone to IC burnouts. There's also pretty much space left on the Minima too. That's an interesting point. So they definitely wanted to make sure that these were going to be compatible with all of your existing headers. And I think that's what they were going for with this one, is that they really wanted it to be a lower price point with that beefed up processor, which we're going to take a look at as well. That's the Renaissance, I believe it's RA4M1. I'll check that out for you. But yeah, so they're trying to make sure that it stays compatible with all of your Uno stuff while being a lower price point, while being a beefier board. So I believe that that's what they were going for there. But let's dig into the online materials. And then I'm gonna hook this up. I haven't actually, obviously, I just took these out of the bag, so I haven't hooked them up to my computer yet. So we're gonna have a little adventure where we see if we run into any issues out of the box, just because live demos are always a thing, even if it is an Uno. So they've got it broken into the Minima and the Wi-Fi versions. Let's take a look at that processor as well. So Renaissance. I know I just had this up. RA4M1. You can see that this is a 48 megahertz ARM Cortex M4. It has an LCD controller in it and cap touch for HMI. I think it'd be interesting to explore how that, if that capability is implemented in the Uno, like, can we use those as touch pins? Like, that's something that I've loved about certain boards in the past. I've never used an Arduino Uno just straight up with touch pins. But with things like the Teensy, you've been able to do that. So pricing wise, first up, pricing-wise, the Uno Minima is $20, as you can see on the US store. It's the Wi-Fi is $27.50 on the US store, which if we look at the Uno R3, that's still $26.30. So your Minima is already coming in at $6 cheaper than even the less powerful R3. And then the Wi-Fi is just about $1.20 more expensive, and then you get all of this extra stuff to prototype with, which is incredible. So you've got that RA4M1 microprocessor from Renaissance, and then the ESP32S3 is the one from Espressif. That's the specific model. We have got that 96 LED 12x8 LED matrix. VRTC and an off pin, which is pretty cool. Lots of cool stuff on here. I won't read this all to you because we already covered a lot of it in just looking at the board itself. One thing I didn't mention is the CAN bus. Both of these boards have the capability to interface with vehicles that have a CAN bus. So for example, your car, I actually covered this in one of our short videos here. I think it's the first one. Here, what's new in the Arduino Uno, but Massimo tells us all about what's going on with that processor. But yeah, the CAN bus enables you to interact with vehicles and I think elevators. There's a long list of like things that kind of surprised me that you can interface with over the CAN bus. And he says not only, oh, you know what? It's in this video. Which sort of squishes together a bunch of that content from Massimo. So further on in this video, he talks about the CAN bus. I think it's like the 4th video in the sequence. And you can see all these different things that you use it for: passenger vehicles, etc., agricultural equipment, aviation and navigation, building automation, medical instruments and equipment, model railways. So if you want to talk to your model railway through a CAN bus, you can do that with these Arduinos, which I just think is pretty cool. I probably won't use that, but I think it's rad. So both of the versions of the Arduino Uno R4 have that CAN bus capability, which not only can you use to read messages that your car is sending within itself, like from between its different modules and the car computer. So it's always doing reporting on itself, like different sensor readings and things. You can read those, but you can also send messages, and there are various websites that cover what's in this protocol and what the different messages are. So he kind of gives us a cautionary tale about the kinds of stuff that you could do and how you could easily seriously mess up your car doing that. So it's not necessarily advised, but there are multiple tutorials on Hackster about how to sniff messages from your CAN bus. You could do that. You could experiment with sending more messages of your own into your vehicle if you want to make it. I'm not going to advise that, but you could. Okay. Again, I feel like we've covered most of this stuff, so I'm going to go ahead and plug it in. I'll let you read this while I set this up. It's so exciting to be doing an Arduino thing and bust out my USB-C to C cable. So another thing that Massimo hinted at in the vehicle, in the videos, is a secret surprise that happens when you plug this in for the first time. And I kind of feel like they spoiled that on the product page itself already, but let's give it a shot and see what happens. So this is the Wi-Fi I'm plugging in. Ah! We have a little Tetris type thing, and we get a cute little beating heart. Okay, well, you know what? The product page does show the heart, but it doesn't capture that cute little Tetris animation or the beating of the heart. That's so cute. We've got this on LED illuminated. Very cool. All right, now I'm going to turn down the lights a little bit more because that's hard to see. Doop. And just see what happens when we try to load. Okay, it's actually doing the blink sketch as well, as you can see on there. And what shall I pull up? I think one of the basic sketches. Let's do a fade. And then I think it would be cool to have a look at what kinds of examples they have for this online already. Where is my Uno in my list? Okay. We are uploading. Okay, we're having a very common AVR dude response, which is that the programmer is not responding. I don't want to bore you with the whole let's try. Okay, so this is a pretty common thing to run into with Arduinos, and there's a bunch of different troubleshooting steps that I would take. So since this is a video about the Uno, I'm gonna walk you through exactly what I would do to troubleshoot this without necessarily going through all of it on the video because I want to keep this short and sweet. But basically, I would try plugging the cable into a different port, obviously just disconnecting it and reconnecting it in the first place to try and see if I can get the programmer to respond. I would make sure that, so there's a generic Uno device in the Arduino IDE. I think I'll probably go back and update my IDE to have the newest board definitions just to make sure that there's nothing weird with that Renaissance chip on there. It's mostly compatible. There's a few things where if you're doing advanced stuff on the Uno board, you may need to adapt those to the new Renaissance chip, so that's something that I would check. And yeah, so updating the board definitions, trying a different USB port, just doing your standard plug it, turn it off and turn it on again, both for the board and for the IDE. And if not, then try and look for any other issues that you might be running into, any other error messages that you get, and be sure to put those into a search engine and see if you can figure it out. Let's see. For some reason, I assumed this was some kind of mechanical rotator drum for the graphics. For the LED matrix. What? I'm more impressed that it's actual lights. Something told me you'd already have. Yeah. It came in the mail yesterday, and I really wanted to dig it out. In which case, we probably would have had a working demo for you. But I kind of like just sharing the first steps with you and the moment of let's look at this for the first time. Uh, have you tried the 3-turn method for plugging the USB in? Uh, so fortunately, neither of these is a I want to say chiral, but a polar connector. You know, the USB-C on both ends is the same. I believe you're referring to the thing with USB-A plugs and jacks, where you turn it around 3 times to make sure that it goes in the right way. Um, but if not, do tell me what the 3-turn method is. I'm gonna swap these around. I can't change ports is the thing, because currently all those ports are being taken up by cameras and my mic and things like that. But let's just look at that opening animation one more time because I think it's really cute. And then I'm gonna wrap up, but maybe we'll do a follow-up with some basic projects that we can do on this. And that is so cute. I love it. So with that said, I'm gonna wrap up there. Thank you so much for joining me on the unboxing adventure here, and just a really quick rundown of all the new stuff on the R4. Have no fear, the R3 is still going to be around, and also answering some of the common questions that I saw online around these boards. Yes, the USB-A 3-turn method. The cool thing about these boards is that they have USB-C on both sides. You don't have to worry about it. Uh, okay. And if you want to connect with Dennis, you can go to LinkedIn. All right. Thank you again for joining me. And as always, hack on.